outline we're going to use. Now let's define these terms that we've talked about. Now, bereavement is simply the loss of the loved one. It is simply the loss of a loved one, and I'm sure that most of us, at some point in time, we've, had to lose a fellow relative, probably a friend, or something very dear to us. Now, grief is a continuous, involuntary emotional and behavioral response to bereavement. That is the things that are expected of us as human beings to display, to express as human beings whenever we are bereaved. And then it's good to note that it is a continuous process. It's something that can continue for months, even after we seem to have moved on, or saying, I really miss the presence of this person, or this particular thing that I once lost back then. However, when we as human beings do not express, the certain feelings and emotions that we are supposed to, it becomes a problem. Or whenever it takes so long expressing those things, we keep bottling it up. We don't want to talk to anybody. I just don't want to hear anything about it. I just want to be myself. Nobody should tell me anything about it. I'm fine. I'm okay. It becomes a problem because later on these things can backfire. On to the next slide. Now, mourning in itself, it is a voluntary expression. Behaviors that are socially sanctioned, that individuals will express. Remember I said that grief is involuntary. While mourning, the things that are expected of us socially, we go for funeral service, we stay back at home for a period of time because we just lost probably a spouse, a mother, or a father. We're expected to stay back at home. So all of these things, they are voluntary things that we are supposed to perform as human beings, or based on the culture that we are in. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Now let's talk about some myths about grief. Things that are not true. I'm going to try and read them out because I'm sure some people can see and say that if you still display photos or still in the possession of properties of your loved ones, it means you're stuck. That is absolutely a lie. Women grieve more than men. Your friends and families will always be the best to support you. That's not true. We all have our certain coping strategies. Men have to really cope whenever they are grieving. So as women, so we don't necessarily have to grieve the same way. The same way people are coming down with all illnesses doesn't mean one person supersedes the other. Now, the goal of grief is to move on, get over it, or find a closure. That is totally not the goal. Yes, we advise people or counsel people to, try and pick up their pieces and try to move on. But, it's not totally moving on. Like I said earlier, there are times that the two embrace the things that have happened or try to say, I'm going to forget about this. That's not going to happen. But it's just trying to reconcile, trying to come to terms with what has happened and move on in a healthy way. Now, young children do not grieve. That's not true. And children shouldn't attend funerals. It's usually, we usually counsel relatives who come in with their young ones, probably with depression, that occurred as a result of probably losing a father or a mother that had died years back. You hear them say that, I still feel the absence of this person. I can't get over it. It is affecting me at my place of work. It is affecting. So it's usually good, even your little ones, you try to expose them gradually. You sit them down and explain things to them. Doesn't mean because they are children, they don't have emotions. Of course they do. But they have their own ways of grieving. And as they grow also, they try to remember these things. You sit them down, you try to explain to them that this is what happens, and this is what life is all, and leave the person is going through. It's total fallacy. So if something helped another grieving person, it will definitely help you. Like I said earlier, we all have our different coping strategies, and it's best to cope the way you understand. Whatever works for someone might not work for you. It's not at all times, it's not in all situations. Next slide, please. Now, there are different stages of grief. I'm going to run through this very fast because I have a very short time. We have the stage 1, 2, and 3. This is the general, classification. And in stage one, this occurs from hours or moments when the news has just been broken to the person to days. And here in this stage one, initially the person is in denial of what has happened. It's usually unbelievable. Then the disbelief comes in, no, it cannot happen. You see them going through the things that has happened, and you'll be like, no, that's it's not possible for this person to have done. She is still there, she's still bright in the room. She's just lying down, she's just sleeping, or he's just sleeping, and I'm very sure he's going to wake up. You see them sitting down with the person all through, even when the nurses, the doctors come around, and they try to explain, we need to move this body. And you hear them saying, no, that's not going to happen. She's still sleeping, I'm sure she's going to wake up. Then numbness, things begin to feel unreal. They are just totally lost in space. They just don't know what is happening around them. They tell them to stand up and have their bath, and they just don't know all that is happening all through that period. They're just totally off. The next stage, that's the stage two, you see individuals who are grieving. Please, next slide. So you see individuals who are grieving, they begin to, cry, on frequent basis. They begin to weeks to months. Like I said, grief is normal. There is nothing wrong with grieving, but if this thing becomes prolonged, it then becomes a problem. Or when certain things, certain signs and symptoms that seem to be totally odd, they are unable to go ahead with their daily. About a year after losing grieving, like let's just keep moving on. The next one. Yes, like I said, we have coping strategies. There are some people that just cry. Any word they hear about the person or just seeing mere pictures, they start to cry. Some engage in activities, they start going to work regularly, they spend more time at work. There are some people that will even go to the extent of, taking legal actions against probably medical teams that cared for this person. I've seen that happen severally, but we tend to understand that this individual is grieving, and we know that it's really not easy. But once we are sure that every necessary thing that should have been done was done, they become a taking substances to just get through all that has happened, and to just try and forget everything. Really wrong.